Good morning and happy Sabbath, everyone. My name is Lawrence Galera. I am one of 3 music teachers at Blue Mountain Academy. Actually, one of our other teachers here is Mr. Eric Enningen. He teaches the handbells. We are located just an hour and a half north of Pennsylvania, and I'm sure everybody knows where Blue Mountain Academy is, up in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, and we've been having a great year. Bel Canto, this is the premier choir of Blue Mountain Academy. It's an auditioned octavo choir that they go through the rigors of sight singing and rhythm reading and all that good stuff to make sure they can sing in the choir and read their notes. Last spring, Bel Canto was in São Paulo, Brazil, and we spent, I think, 15 days there. Had a wonderful time, a wonderful experience with our brothers and sisters over there in their city in Brazil. And some of their students were very excited about our visit, that they actually joined us at Blue Mountain Academy and are actually here today. If you were from Sao Paulo, you raise your hand. This is the kids that came and joined us because of our concert over there. This year, Mr. Engen and Lasonet went to Mexico in Montemorelos, and they've also recruited, I think, about 12 or 15 students from there as well. And so lots of great things are happening at our school. We have a wonderful new administration, Bernie Culpepper. He was actually a coach of mine when I was in 9th grade in Hinsdale Academy. And so we've been working with him, and we're having a wonderful year. Anyways, enough with me talking. Let's praise the Lord, shall we? The first song we'll sing and worship with you comes from a composer named John Rutter, and it talks about look at the world and look at all the beautiful things God has created, and how God uses all of the elements that He's created to praise Him. We have a pianist. This is Enrique Da Silva, and he is a junior and also sings tenor as well.
Everything on earth.
Jesus, when we think about what he did for us on the cross, and the hope that he brings to humanity as far as salvation and the soon return, there's a text, a poem, expression regarding the balm in Gilead. And when we think about the healing that ancient world used, the balm that was found in Gilead, they referred and kind of related that to Jesus Christ and what he brought in our lives. As we go through our troubled times on this earth, we know that we have hope in Jesus, and he is our healing bond in our lives. And when we think about his soon coming, that will ultimately be the greatest healing in our lives. This is Balm in Gilead, arranged by Mark Hayes. We have a pianist, Delia Russell. She's a senior, and she is a soprano in bel canto, and she'll be playing the piano for us. A few years ago, a friend of mine, his name was Joseph Choi, and some of you may have known him. He lives close to the area. He and I have a son around the same age, and a few years ago, there was a terrible hayride accident where his son fell off, and many of you were probably close to this area and knew what happened and went to the funeral. As I also drove down to the funeral. Joseph has a very special place in my heart because his son, when he lost his son, was also the same age as my son, and I can't imagine, I can't think of losing my son the way he did at such a young age. Joseph, as before the time of the funeral, he had a dream, and he dreamed of his son waking up at the second coming of Jesus Christ, and his son was singing, "Give Me Jesus." And through this inspiration of a dream, he commissioned a very well-known Seventh-day Adventist composer by the name of James Lee III, who's also in this area. And he commissioned this piece for Joseph. And the intention is to remember Samuel Choi, the little 3-year-old whose life was suddenly taken away. But this is not the end, as we know that we have hope in Jesus. And hopefully those that we've loved and lost will one day sing that song, Give Me Jesus, as Jesus returns to this earth to cleanse it and bring us back in favor in the presence of God. This is Give Me Jesus, arranged by James Lee. We have Delia Russell again as the accompanist. These next three pieces will be in a foreign language. This first piece is entitled Esto les digo, and composer Kinley Lange writes this from Matthew 18, verse 19 and 20, where it says, 2 or 3 people are gathered in my name, there I will be also. It's sung in Spanish. Followed by Morten Lauritsen, a contemporary composer as well, from his sacred work. This is Onat Halux, as it reflects on the birth of Christ. And then the third piece in the set will be Daemon Repit Kalidus by György Orban. And it says, though the universe is so enticed by Satan, the demon's doing, it is all worth less than the heart of Jesus. We have a few spirituals, American spirituals. We'll do these three in a set. This first piece is by a contemporary African-American composer. His name is Stacy Gibbs. No relation to Pastor Elder Gibbs of our conference president. But Stacy Gibbs arranges this piece way over in Beulah land as a thinking about the suffering of the African-American slavery, looking for freedom. Same with the Israelites in Egypt, looking for freedom. We, as human children of God, waiting for Jesus Christ to rid of sin and looking for freedom of that. This is Beulah land. Followed by another composer, Adolphus Hailstork, and this is entitled Go Down Moses. And this will be sung by a senior bass solo, Wayne Oweo. And then we'll do another piece, We Are Climbing Jacob's Ladder, also accompanied by Enrique da Silva on the piano. And that will be conducted by Delia Russell as a senior.
Singing When Israel was in Egypt land, he could not stand. Moses way down in Egypt let my people go. Saith the Lord, but Moses said, if Moses found death, oh, go down, Moses, way down in Egypt. Let my people go. No more shall they in bondage toil. Out with Egypt's toil. Oh yes, let my people go. God told Moses what to lead the children of the other shore. They sang a song of so let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, don't you hear me talking to let them go? I say, let my people go.
We just have two more pieces to worship with you this morning. Occurring May 10 and 11 is our final weekend at Blue Mountain Academy for Music. And for those of you who are familiar with my work, I've been at Blue Mountain Academy for 8 years, and I've written 3 dramatic music productions on biblical stories. And this would be solos and characters with costumes, carrying out singing through the different scenes of different Bible stories with our orchestra, and doing a musical or an opera, if you want to look at it that way. My first project was Noah and the flood that occurred at the beginning in Genesis. The second project was Moses, and it was entitled The Exodus Story. The third project was Queen of Persia, on the story of Esther, which was also actually performed in in California. There's an Adventist Academy, San Gabriel Academy, and they commissioned me to reorchestrate it, and they performed it over there and flew me out. So that was quite exciting. This spring, in May 10 and 11, I have picked a project topic on the story of the very first part of the Great Controversy, where all of heaven was sinless until Lucifer began thinking too much of himself. And the fall of a third of the angels, to where God created humanity, and then it finishes off with Jesus descending to earth as a baby, and that is it'll be titled "The Great Controversy Part 1." We have students in our choir that are singing the different roles of Michael, and you have Gabriel, you have the angels, Lucifer, and God. And we've been reading through the Great Controversy, particularly that chapter, and trying to understand what Mrs. White is trying to retell the visions that God gave her of what happened pre-humanity. And it gives our students a bigger picture of why we are here on this earth, and to justify God, not only God's character, but God's love for us, and why Jesus had to come down on the cross because of our ancestors' sin, but yet he overcame death and rose to heaven, and is preparing a place for us to one day go back to home and be again in the presence of God and his love. This first part, this is the opening scene of the Great Controversy, and as you see the angels coming and worshiping God, they sing holy, holy, holy. This will be done with our orchestra, and the kids will be all in robes representing the angels. But to this morning, we have Enrique de Silva is going to be our orchestra, and this is the very first scene from the Great Controversy. It's actually written in 5 acts, and I'm in the middle of writing it. I still have the 5th act to write, but it's starting to come along very well, and so I'm very proud of the kids and the hard work that they've been putting into this semester. So this is the Great Controversy, the opening scene, Act 1.
Sing
invite you to our campus, May 10, 11. It'll be at, I think, 7:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And I hope that we can see you there. You'll see the entire thing with the bigger chorus, with Sylvan singers, with our orchestra, as we try to reenact and re-inspire the interest, what Mrs. White gave for us through the great controversy. As a tradition of bel canto at the end of every full concert, this hymn was been sung at the end of our concert. This is titled "When I Survey the Wondrous Cross," arranged by Gilbert Martin. And it was brought over from, Gilbert Martin was a master's composition major at Westminster College, and the late Larry Karpenko was an undergrad student, and when it first came out, Larry Karpenko, as he graduated, he came to Blue Mountain Academy as a music teacher and brought it as part of bel canto, and used this at the end of every piece that was every concert. For 50 years now, this tradition has been held up with bel canto at the end of every concert to finish off our concert. And so every bel canto member has been singing this final piece, "When I Survey the Wondrous Cross." So at this time, if there are any bel canto alumni that have ever performed with bel canto in the years past with my predecessors, we invite you to come up and sing this final piece, "When I Survey the Wondrous Cross." Beautiful lyrics, very powerful as we reflect on Jesus Christ and what he did for us on particularly this weekend, the Easter weekend. As we know, Jesus was crucified on a Friday, and he was taken down and rested on Sabbath, on Saturday, in respect for God's holy day. And that is what more or less defines us, the first part, the Seventh-day Adventists, because we still believe that God hallowed the seventh day and rested on it. And Adventists, we look forward to the second coming of Jesus Christ. But as we look in this week in particular, the crucifixion, the death, and the resurrection on Sunday, I look forward to Jesus' soon return when we can be with all our loved ones and the ones that we've loved and lost, and we'll soon be with our heavenly Creator in the actual presence, to breathe in the same place with him and worship him. So without further ado, this is our final piece, "When I Survey the Wondrous Cross."